Welcome to Sage Audio. Today we're covering how to make space in a mix. But first, if you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Reduce masking with EQ. If your mix is lacking space, you might have an issue with frequency masking. The most common cause of this is excessive 200 to 300 Hz. That said, if you reduce this frequency throughout your mix, maybe with low-pass filters where appropriate, or bell filters on other instruments, it'll definitely help. I put this topic first because it's a really common cause of a clustered sounding mix and fortunately, really easy to fix. So let's take a listen to before and after these filters are applied. Alternate saturation types. Saturators create both even and odd harmonics or a mixture of the two, but if you add too many similar saturators, you'll end up with excessive frequency overlap. For example, if I use tube saturation on every instrument, odds are the second ordered harmonic is going to reduce space in the mix. Now, I can't tell you what each saturator adds since they come from different developers, but it's a great idea to run a low frequency sine wave through your saturator and then observe the harmonics with a frequency analyzer on the other side. This is going to give you a good idea of which saturators can be used without too much overlap. So let's take a listen to a mix with overlapping harmonics and one with alternated harmonic formations. If you're enjoying the video, hit the like button. It helps us bring you more videos. Reduce the amount of compression. Dynamics are incredibly important when trying to give your mix some space. Use too much compression, and it becomes increasingly difficult to differentiate between various instruments. To help with this, try more intentional compression. For example, emphasize transients with short attack and release times combined with a hard neat, or maybe smooth out a vocal with optical compression while increasing the smack of a kick with a high ratio and DBX style compressor. The point being, if your compressors are creating unique sounds, you can utilize needed compression while still retaining the identity of your instruments. So let's take a listen and notice how we decrease the dynamic range, but retain the space between the different signals. Detect mode with Kirchhoff EQ. The Kirchhoff EQ has a useful function with which you can attenuate a frequency range of the signal using another range as its trigger. A great way to increase space and clarity in your mix is by attenuating 2 to 300 Hz using roughly 3 to 5 kHz as the trigger. This is going to reduce masking, increase the perceived dynamic range, and carve out some space amongst the more complex instrumentation. So let's take a listen to it. Only a small percentage of people that watch our videos are subscribed, so if you're enjoying the video, consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Analyze and reduce overlap with Pro Q3. Although other EQs do this as well, the Pro Q3 offers an analysis tool with which you can observe overlap between one signal and other signals in the mix. For example, I could observe the overlap between my kick and bass, indicated in red. From there, I could choose which instrument or instruments to attenuate these overlapping frequencies on, in turn, giving each instrument some space. So let's take a listen to overlap being reduced. Try inverse EQ trick. Although a little complex, we could use the match function of the Pro Q3 to separate competing signals and carve out some more room. First, I'll sidechain the competing signal, match the two, and then delete extreme bands. Then, I'll highlight them all and invert their gain. Now what would have made them more similar is being used to make them more distinct. So let's listen and notice how the signals each get some additional space from this process. Easy additional headroom trick. If you're trying to create a louder mix or maybe a master, use a linear phase EQ and high pass filter to attenuate up to 30 Hz. Since the lowest frequencies are so powerful, they take up a significant amount of headroom, so it's best to reduce their amplitude. Since we can barely perceive them though, we don't have to sacrifice too much to get more space to work with. So let's take a listen, but keep in mind the effect is going to be subtle. If you're enjoying the channel, use the search box to watch more of our videos. Be selective with upward compression. Similar to how we need to be selective with downward compression like in Chapter 3, we should be mindful of how much upward compression we use. Although upward compression brings out details, it's going to reduce the dynamic range and it might affect separation and space between instruments. So let's take a listen to a mix in which all instruments have upward compression and compare it to one in which only a few have it, and notice how the effect reduces space when it's used excessively. Binaural panning on support instruments. Binaural panning utilizes psychoacoustic effects to place the signal within a 360-degree field, as opposed to the 90-degree field that we have access to with traditional panning. If the instrument that you're working on isn't absolutely essential to the mix and seems out of place, try binaural panning. Now, I wouldn't recommend this on vocals, kick, bass, or anything you can't afford to lose if your listener is playing your track on a mono system. So let's take a listen and notice how we achieve a lot more space. Utilize sample delay. From our last chapter, we know that moving instruments to a wider stereo field helps create space. That's why I enjoy this really simple effect. A sample delay that delays one channel of a stereo signal can place it anywhere within a 360-degree field. That said, you don't need complex stereo placement plugins, but only your ear and a sample delay plugin to create more space. So let's take a listen to this effect, used on instruments that I don't need to be mono, and notice how we achieve more space and a more interesting mix. Use Gullfoss EQ on buses. The Gullfoss EQ dynamically amplifies and attenuates frequencies to reduce masking and create a more balanced sounding instrument group, or full mix. I like to use this plugin on my buses to make them sound more balanced, in turn creating more space in my mix and an overall more balanced sound. So let's take a listen to this plugin being used on various buses and notice how we perceive more space. If you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching.